Like, I really can't tell a damn bit.
And I switched with
No, I had to ask. I thought you lost her head.
Get started. Good evening. I call to order the Poquoson City School Board on May 17th. We're going to start off this evening with the students. Melly?
Kayla Pomerantz is the leader of the pledge tonight. She is the secretary of the Leo Club and a member of the Model United Nations Club. Kayla is also a member of the Poquoson High School tennis team. She recently participated in the Tidewater Science Fair and placed third in her category.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Zachary Carter will be doing tonight's inspirational reading. Zach is a junior at Poquoson High School. He is a member of the National Honor Society and a member of the varsity swim team. He is the president of the PHS Key Club, a drum major in the band, treasurer of the Math Honor Society, and secretary of the Spanish Honor Society. He is also the leader of his church youth band. Zach's reading is entitled, Teachers Who Inspire Me.
Good evening. Tonight, I would like to dedicate this reading to a person without whom many students would not be the same, myself included. Over the past 34 years, she has selflessly enlightened every student who has walked through her classroom door, not only in the subject of chemistry, but also in the subject of what it means to be a kind, considerate, nurturing, patient, caring, loving human being. My uncle took her chemistry class 32 years ago, and when he found I would have the same teacher, he told me I was in for a treat. He said that she was one of the best teachers he had had in his high school career, and looking at my past 2 years with her, I see she has not changed since. Her dedication to her students is remarkable and certainly worth emulating. Throughout the year, she dedicates 1 hour block of time every day after school to helping students in both honors and AP classes who are unable to grasp a concept. Some days, her classroom becomes a tripping hazard from the horde of students. Other days, it is desolate, but nonetheless, she stays. In preparation for the AP test, she sacrificed her Saturday to come to school for 3 hours for one last massive review to ensure her students took the test to the best of their ability. Aside from the patience and understanding she exhibits in the classroom, she puts forth time and energy to connect with her students. The day before winter break, she invited her entire AP chemistry class over to her house to make roll-out cookies from scratch. The class had a blast and feasted on the mountain of cookies for days. On the subject of food, the day of the AP chemistry exam, she cooked her entire class breakfast and even took the time to cut the bread into the shape of Erlenmeyer flasks. She does not do this simply because she has an unending appetite, but because she wants to become a part of her students' lives. Through her never-ending desire to be the best person she can possibly be, and through her constant demonstration of the characteristics I previously described, Miss Mary Beth Levitt has inspired me and countless other students to not only strive to meet her classroom expectations in chemistry, but more importantly, to strive to be a better person in our day-to-day lives. She has been an inspiration both in the classroom and outside the classroom to students and colleagues alike. Her day-to-day actions help to guide her students as they begin the next phase in their lives, and the memory of such a wonderful being continues to serve them as they grow into their adulthood. As a teacher, a leader, a matriarch, and a friend, Miss Mary Beth Levitt continues to enlighten students every day and continues to change lives forever. When I was asked to present the inspirational reading tonight, I thought I would take a different approach and speak about an individual who serves as an inspiration to countless people in our schools and in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter, for truly an inspirational reading. You being able to highlight one of the teachers here in Poquoson is, it is inspirational that our teachers here are not just here for a job, they're here for the students, and many of them have been here for many, many years and have fed into the lives of so many families here in Poquoson. So thank you for reminding us of that. Our next item on the agenda this evening is student presentations, and we will then be going into recognitions. I'd like to remind all the students and presenters for the recognitions, if you would please stay after you've been recognized or presented so that we take a short recess and have an opportunity to come and speak with you. So tonight for our student presentation, we'll have students from the technology education classes at Poquoson High School. They're going to be presenting some of their activities. We're going to start off with Kelly Jasinski and Claire Kublins, a sophomore and junior at Poquoson High School, and they'll describe their presentation at the recent Technology State Association competition in the construction renovation category. Kelly is the SCA treasurer, a member of the Leo Club and TSA. She is also a member of the Mu Alpha Theta, the Math Honor Society, S to S, the Student to Student, and the Garnet and Gold. Kelly is on the varsity field hockey team. Claire is vice president of the Poquoson High School chapter of TSA and the SCA, student to student, activities coordinator, and a member of the Leo Club and the Bullying Prevention Committee. She is on the varsity field hockey and soccer teams. Then William Emini, also a junior, will describe the new 3D printer recently purchased with Perkins Grant funds and will discuss how it will enhance their classroom work. William is a member of the National Honor Society and Key Club. He was a member of the Poquoson High School State Championship football team. He is currently taking advanced technical drawings and is interested in pursuing a career in this field. Kelly and Claire?
Good evening, Chairman Diggs, school board members, and Dr. Parrish. I'm Jennifer Romanelli, for those of you who don't know. I teach Claire and William, and Kelly's in the engineering class. But I just wanted to introduce the students a little bit more and tell you a little bit about their career aspirations, and then I'm going to turn the presentation over to you. I am going to stay up here because we have some things that we want to pass out, so I'm going to help the students do that as well. William Emini is in the Advanced Drawing and Design course, as you mentioned, and he has aspirations to become an engineer. Claire Kublins is in the Architectural Drawing and Design course, and she wants to be an architect, so we're getting off to a good start. And Kelly Jasinski is in the Engineering Drawing and Design course, and she wants to be a biomedical engineer. So what you may have noticed about those three courses is they share the same phrase, drawing and design. The students have graciously agreed to talk to us tonight about the technologies that they use in those courses that help them in the design process and in documenting their solutions. So at that, I'm going to turn it over to them.
Good evening. Before I want to talk about the design process, I want to talk about the software Inventor itself. Inventor was designed to transform a 2D sketch into a simple 3D or a complex 3D assembly. So the basic foundation for the complex assembly is going to be the first step, which is a 2D drawing, which is drawn together by a user or a designer, and then they place the dimensions and geometry constraints to then extrude out into a 3D drawing, which adds the third axis, and then that will go on to our next step, which is assembling the parts. Assembling of parts is when you take different drawn or the same drawn part files or 3D files, and you constrain them to form one object, which a project we did in class this year was a desk caddy, and a student had its pencil holder and a paperclip holder, And the 3D printer printed each so that it can fit into each other. So Ms. Romanelli would pass that around. After the assembly comes animating it for the client or a manufacturer. This shows the client a different view on what the assembly will make. The exploded assembly animations show how the piece will come together into one, and it shows the client what it will be receiving in its final product and its prototype, which I'm talking about next. As you can see, all the parts fit correctly, and that's a good sign when showing it to a client. Don't want anything not fitting.
This software also allows us to analyze interference. So if things don't fit, we get a red flag. It tells us they don't fit. And that helps them to go back and reevaluate the design and make changes as necessary.
So the next step is then finally creating a prototype. And another project that we did this year was creating a balsa wood airplane, and what I designed was a propeller for that airplane. And I designed it to make sure that the plane got up and stayed up in the air for a good amount of time. So Romanelli also passed around that. And then the video. This video shows the new 3D printer printing out my propeller.
The jet actually contains small strands of ABS plastic that create the object in 0.01 millimeter slices. So
It took
once
a good
hardens,
6 hours.
it's ABS plastic, so it's a pretty good strength.
And this picture shows the drawing of the propeller, and the design process that I went through was I first created the 2D sketch, and then extruded to get the 3D drawing, and then I revolved that 2D sketch around the axis to get what you see on the computer screen right here. And the final product, or the prototype, took about 6 hours to create out of the 3D printer. So it's a good time to wait. Thank you.
In our architectural drawing class, we created a U-shaped kitchen by researching cabinet and appliance manufacturers, creating cabinet and appliance schedules, drawing a floor plan, elevations of each wall, and a cabinet section view. This is the plan view of our two-dimensional U-shaped kitchen. And then those are the 3 elevation views of each wall. And for our Technology Student Association state competition, me and Kelly and I were given a design problem and for our construction renovation project, and we were asked to find a solution for a family who wanted to renovate their kitchen. And to create the 3-dimensional kitchen, I used Google SketchUp and downloaded cabinets and appliances from CAD files that were previously made from the manufacturers. And then this is using Google SketchUp, where we can move around and we can see all the different views of the kitchen. And using Google SketchUp is really easy and easy to download, plus it's free. So I could work on our project at home and due to like all its qualities.
My part of the project wasn't quite as complex as Claire's, but I was responsible for researching and finding the different manufacturers and types of materials that we wanted to use. The design problem asked us to find 5 different variations of materials and colors that we wanted to see in our kitchen, and here are a few of the variations that we chose. Then I used the web browser, word processor, and Excel to make the diagrams and charts that we used in our presentation at the Technosphere competition. And here's our appliance schedule and cabinet schedule. We didn't place this year, but we got in the finals. But we learned a lot about the different technologies that are used around Virginia and the different regions. And we're really looking forward to go again next year. And hopefully we bring a lot more members from our TSA, because I feel like we learned a lot and it was a lot of fun. So that's about it.
Any questions? Thank you.
All right, the next item is our additions and/or modifications to the agenda. Do we have any this evening?
We do not.
All right, well, then we'll move into recognitions. Mr. Parrish, you start us off, please.
If I could ask Mr. Mark Bellamy to come forward this evening. Mr. Bellamy served on the school board for about 1.5 years and unfortunately had to leave the school board, but it was for very good reasons for him. But I wanted to take this opportunity on behalf of the entire school division as well as the school board to thank him for the work that he did, because he spent many hours with the school board and with me in many meetings, especially during these budget cycles that we've had. He brought a unique perspective to the school board with his experience in the area of operations, which was very helpful for us in a number of matters. So we were very fortunate to have Mr. Bellamy as a part of our school board. We were very sad to see him leave us, but we're glad that he could come here this evening so we could just give him this very small token of our appreciation, and we continue to wish him all the best in his new endeavors, and you never know when he'll come back. So thank you so much.
All right, the next recognition is for Odyssey of the Mind winners.
Yes, I would like to ask the following students to come up, and this is from our Poquoson Elementary School Odyssey of the Mind team, and once they're up here, I'm going to read some information about their accomplishment. So if at this time, William Clough, Sandra Fan, Shay Hartley, and Bryce Moore could come forward. We had 2 Poquoson City Public Schools team wins awards at the recent state competition for Odyssey of the Mind. The Poquoson Elementary School team won first place in the unhinged structure category and will be advancing to the world competition. The unhinged category required teams to build a structure made up of at least 2 sections using only balsa wood and glue. The structure had to be designed to fold together without being unhinged. The design was then tested by applying as much weight as possible onto it. The Poquoson Elementary School team structure held 762 pounds. Teams were also tasked with incorporating a performance element that related to the design challenge, which was to create an additional 3 objects that change appearance by being folded or unfolded. Please join me in congratulating our students from Poquoson Elementary School for their wonderful accomplishment, and we wish them the best of luck in the world competition. if I could ask our Poquoson Middle School team to come forward. Molly Arms, Ori Arms, Jessica Brown, Eden Fullington, Peyton Middleton, Brennan Middleton, and Jordan Montgomery. The Poquoson Middle School team won 3rd place in the unhinged structure competition at the state level, with their structure also holding 762 pounds. 3rd place winners do not normally advance to the world level. However, this team received the Renatra Fusca Creativity Award for their performance, and based on this award will advance to the world competition. The Renatra Fusca Creativity Award represents the very essence of the Odyssey of the Mind experience. It is presented to teams or individuals who exhibit exceptional creativity, either through some aspect of their problem solution or an extraordinary idea beyond the problem solution. The award was designed as a way to acknowledge and encourage creative thinking and risk-taking by teams or individuals. Please join me in congratulating the Poquoson Middle School OM team, and we wish them the best of luck at the world competition as well. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to bring forward the Teachers of the Year that have been selected at each school. So I'd like to start first with Mr. Joe Garrity, and I'd like to recognize that in the audience with him this evening is his wife, Dorothy. Mr. Garrity, if you could come forward, please. Joe Garrity received his bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Virginia. He's taught for 22 years in Poquoson and has a total of 23 years of teaching experience. He's taught physics, which includes AP Physics, Earth Science, and Oceanography. He has served in the Poquoson High School Technology Committee, has been a new teacher mentor, coaches track and cross country at Poquoson High School. He has presented at the Virginia Association of Science Teachers Conference. He has been a curriculum developer and instructor at the Teacher Academy in Physical Science at Jefferson Lab for 6 years. He also served as an adjunct professor for the University of Virginia in Chesapeake Schools. Joe states that part of his philosophy of teaching is to engage and participate in students' learning while recognizing and helping them to maximize their own potential. Please join me in congratulating Joe Garrity for being selected the Poquoson High School Teacher of the Year for this year. Next, if Katrina Curtis could please come forward. Katrina has joined with her in the audience today her friend Jay DePalato. Katrina is the Poquoson Middle School Teacher of the Year. She has 10 years of teaching in Poquoson City Public Schools, which is where she has done all of her teaching. She received her bachelor's degree from Longwood and a master's degree from Virginia Commonwealth University. She currently teaches 6th grade English at Poquoson Middle School. She also serves as the English Department Chair and is a member of the Alveus Anti-Bullying Committee. She has been a new teacher mentor. She has been a guest speaker at Christopher Newport University for student teachers and has also worked with their Career Switcher program. She is mentored as part of the Teacher Cadet program that is at Poquoson High School. She also serves as a staff and board member for the Tri-Cities Work Camp, which includes overseeing teens as they repair homes for the elderly. She coordinates groups of over 200 adults and teenagers. She also participated in the Hurricane Katrina relief efforts with this group. And finally, Katrina serves as a youth leader for her church. She states that as part of her teaching philosophy is that finding the balance between giving students choices and setting boundaries is critical to teaching them respect for themselves, respect for their classmates, and giving them the tools that will shape their decision-making in the future. Please join me in congratulating Katrina Curtis, our Teacher of the Year for Poquoson Middle School. Marcel Fincher from Poquoson Elementary School could come forward, please. In the audience with her today are her children, Lauren and Taylor Dibble. Marcel has taught in Poquoson City Public Schools for 8 years and has a total of 12 years of teaching experience. She received her bachelor's degree from the University of Georgia and her master's degree from Cameron University. She currently teaches art at our elementary school. She also serves as the advisor for the SCA. She's a member of NEA. She's a member of the National Art Educators Association. As part of that organization, she chaired a committee to raise funds to help pay state conference fees for student members of the Art Association. She sponsored the SCA activities to raise funds for the food bank. She promotes recycling at the elementary school, and she works collaboratively with grade-level teachers on interdisciplinary projects. As part of her philosophy, she states that she believes that art is not just a form of communication, but a means by which one can make meaning and gain understanding of one's place and relationship with one's community, large and small. Please join me in congratulating Marcel Fincher, our Poquoson Elementary School Teacher of the Year. And next, if Kaitlin Orsborn could come forward, please. Joining her today in the audience is her husband, Chris Orsborn, and a friend of hers who also teaches at the elementary school, Desiree Flynn. Kaitlin has taught in Poquoson City Public Schools for 3 years and has a total of 6 years of teaching experience. She received her bachelor's degree from East Stroudsburg University of Pennsylvania and is considering entering a master's degree program at Old Dominion University. She teaches special education at our primary school. She has served as grade level chair on a report card committee, the benefits committee, the Relay for Life committee, the curriculum committee, the scheduling committee. She has also served as secretary for Poquoson Education Association. She served on the technology committee, on a reading focus group, and was recently inducted into Delta Kappa Gamma. As part of her philosophy, she states that she tries to teach as many of the different modes of learning as possible so that all students have the opportunity to be successful. Please join me in congratulating Kaitlin Orsborn, the Primary School Teacher of the Year. Before we announce the Division Teacher of the Year, I'd like to invite Mr. Phil Prisco, our Kiwanis President, to come forward to the podium.
Thank you. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to children and the community. And what better an example of it than these teachers? So we'd like to add our recognition and perhaps a little more. We have for you a letter of appreciation and a check for $250. So come out to our pig roast this weekend and spend time with it. But we'd like to.
Mr. Prisco, I'd like to thank you and all the Kiwanians for the support that you provide our schools in so many ways, whether it's tutoring our students or providing recognition to our Teachers of the Year or working with the many clubs throughout the schools. We know that you really do make a difference for us, so thank you. And I know we have a number of Kiwanians in the audience this evening. At this time, I do want to announce the Division Teacher of the Year, but I want to say that these four incredible teachers just represent all the teachers that we have across our school division. These four clearly do an exceptional job for us every day, as so many of our teachers do. As the community may know, each of these teachers is selected by the staff in their schools for their School Teacher of the Year, and we then have a division-wide committee that selects the Division Teacher of the Year. I know it was a very, very difficult choice for the division committee to make a choice, but they have to. So they do select a Division Teacher of the Year, and the person selected as Division Teacher of the Year will move forward to compete for the Regional Teacher of the Year, and if they were to achieve that, they would then compete for the State Teacher of the Year. It is my pleasure this evening to announce that our Division Teacher of the Year for this school year is Katrina Curtis from Poquoson Middle School.
this time, we'll take a short intermission for the board to meet with the students and the teachers, and we will be off the air for approximately 5 minutes.
for next year? Are you sending me homework? Are you sending me homework? You're welcome. Yes, I can get anything. I see a good movie. I've heard that elephant one is good. Give water for the elephant. Water for the elephant.
Okay, we'll get started again, and we'll start off with the next item on the agenda is our presentation and reports, and we'll start with the financial update. Mr. Bowen.
Good evening, Chairman Diggs, school board members, and Dr. Parrish. Let me begin this evening with some news about our current fiscal year. The state's reporting that actual revenue collections for the year, or at least through April, are exceeding the official revenue forecast by 1%. This is great news, of course, as we all continue to recover from the most recent recession. But one of the contributing factors for this increase is the sales tax revenue. Now, as you know, school divisions receive 1 1/8% of the state sales tax revenue. What I want to point out here is, should this trend continue through the end of the fiscal year, I anticipate that school divisions will receive a bump in sales tax revenue. But I want to just remind the board and remind the community that what occurred this past General Assembly session. During this past session, Poquoson City Schools had a mid-year budget cut of $100,000. So any anticipated or any realized bump in sales tax revenue will be used to partially offset the mid-year cuts that we've used, that we backfilled with our stimulus funds. I just wanted to point that out. This is something similar that happened last year. School divisions received unexpected bump in sales tax revenue. However, how it was presented to the public was that this was a budget surplus, when in fact the amount that we received, which was about $33,000 of an $18 million bump, that was really not a budget surplus to us. It didn't even cover the cuts that we received last year during the budget process. So I just wanted to point that out to you. That information may be coming forward here at the end of June, and if that does, we will certainly share that with the board. The second topic I'd like to discuss with you tonight actually refers to item F on the consent agenda, which is the approval of employee health and dental benefits for FY12. And I'd like to start with the dental benefits. For the past several years, Poquoson City Schools has had Delta Dental as its primary provider for dental services. We've had a great relationship with Delta over the years, and we appreciate all the work that they've and services that they provided to our employees. But this past year, it was time for us to go back out for bid, and in that process, we will have a new provider for next year, and that provider will be United Concordia. United Concordia provided or presented a plan very similar to what we currently have with Delta. However, there were several enhancements that they were able to offer us. First, that being lower premiums. The plan that they presented to us actually reduces our current premiums by 5%. The bid that came back from Delta actually increased the current premium by more than 8%. So we actually received quite a bit less in the premiums. Also, we were able to increase the annual benefit from $1,500 to $2,000. So an individual will receive a $500 benefit per year. And for the first time, our dental plan will now offer an orthodontic benefit to employees. Now, this is a limited plan. It's a $1,500 annual lifetime plan offered to members and dependents that are 19 years and younger. But the cost of dental services or orthodontic services can range anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000. So this has been something that the employees have asked for over the years. At least since I've been here, we've never been able to offer it because the cost has been too great. But with this plan that came back, we were actually able to offer it, and the employees would be paying a lower premium. Let me move into health insurance. As you know, health insurance is one of our significant budget drivers. Each year, this causes us great pain because we never know exactly how much our premiums are going to increase. And I just wanted to point out, just for real briefly, our history with health insurance over the past couple of years. In FY10, we began the year with a 5% increase. Now, this was coming off a very good year in FY9 where we saw low experience, which means employees weren't using the health plan that much. So when that occurs, you don't see higher premiums the next year. If you have a high experience rate where employees are having to use the plan, then you can generally expect to see increased premiums for the next year, significant increases in premiums. We had a 5% increase in FY10. There were no plan changes to the 3 options that we offered. And those premium increases were not pushed to the employee. So in other words, the 5% increase was actually picked up by the school division. Also during that year, the school division was able to offer a flexible spending account. Now, the flexible spending account is an optional benefit that employees can participate in. It's where they set aside their own dollars pre-tax into an account to pay for qualifying medical expenses. Before we offered this, of course, nobody participated, but once we offered it through education to the employees, we had almost 65 people register that first year. So it was a great benefit, and it was offered to us at free of charge. As we moved into FY11, we started off with a premium rate increase of 9.5%, or about $135,000. At this point, what we did is we assembled an employee benefits committee because we knew that the school division could not assume costs of $135,000. So we needed to get some input from the employees. We knew we needed to make some changes so we could, because it was either cut personnel, push the premiums onto the employees, or the school division pick up the costs, and we knew that we were very limited in those options. So meeting with the employees and having the experts come in from Optima, what we were able to do is tweak some of our plans. We changed some co-pays. We actually brought our co-pays more in line with the industry standards, and by doing that, we were able to get that 9.5% down to 2.5%. Again, we were able to not push those premium increases onto the employees. This would have been the second year with no compensation to the employees, so the school division picked up those costs. And again, we went back out to the employees to educate them on the benefits of the flexible spending account. So we improved and increased the membership of those participating in the flexible spending account. Then we moved into FY12 this year. And what we thought was going to be a 10% increase in December actually came in January as a 12.2% increase. And several factors caused that to happen. One was the experience. We came off 2 bad years of experience. In other words, we've had some significant health issues within the community, whether it's an employee, whether it's a spouse, that's contributed to this. The second thing is the new federal health care regulations. And what our experts are telling us at Optima, that the federal health care regulations contributed to about 3% of this increase. And just to give you an idea of what some of those changes are, all of our preventative health care now is covered at 100%. Whereas before, if you went in for a physical, you were expected to pay some form of copay. Employees will no longer do that. That's all covered by 100%, and that's federal law. Another big change is we are now required to keep dependents on the health plan until the age of 26 if parents so choose to allow their children to stay on their health plan. So that's 2 options that we have nothing to do with, but of course we are having to pick up those additional costs. Well, we were looking at a 12.2% increase, almost $180,000, and once again we realized we could not pick up those costs. And we didn't want to push those increases onto the employees, so we again assembled our employee benefits committee and we took these issues to them and asked for their assistance. And when we met with them, we went there with the idea of eliminating and introducing some plans. Our health insurance consultant was really helping us out with this and giving us some various options. And what we actually came up with was when we met with the benefits committee, what we came up with was the elimination of our PPO. And that's our Preferred Partners Organization plan. We had less than 5 employees that were participating in this plan, so it seemed like this would be one that we could eliminate. However, with only 5 employees, this was one of our most expensive plans. This is just an open network plan that allows an employee to go to the participating doctors or out-of-network doctors. The employee paid a higher premium, but the school division paid a very high premium. Then, coming out of the benefits committee, the recommendation is we still have 2 HMOs. The recommendation to us was, can we possibly blend those 2 HMOs into 1 HMO? So we went to Optima and asked for Optima's assistance, and what they told us is that those 2 plans are very similar. They really couldn't blend those 2 plans to come up with a new plan. So what they recommended to us is, because they are so similar, you really don't need the 2. We would recommend for y'all, if y'all are trying to save money and not push premiums onto the employees, you should consider eliminating the plan. We took that back to the benefits committee, and we were able to get the cost down where we're now saving $80,000. And we felt like that was an amount that we could live with within our budget. So in acting those changes, what we were able to do is that we were able to keep premiums at the same level, not push premium costs to the employees. We're able to eliminate 2 of our more expensive plans. We're able to, going into FY12, we'll be maintaining our HMO 1580 in its current form. And again, employees will not be paying premium increases. And we're introducing a new high deductible health plan with a health savings account. I want to just take a couple of minutes and talk about that, because this is something new to the government arena. The high deductible health plan is very common in the private industry, but it's now just starting to make its way into the government arena. Some of the benefits of this plan is that young people that are starting in the workforce, where they don't have a lot of money, they're making very low salaries. We've seen our own salary scale that hasn't changed in the past couple of years. But they're very healthy and they don't want to pay high premiums. So the high deductible health plan actually offers a new employee low health premiums, and they can set aside their dollars tax-free into a health savings account. And one of the big differences between a health savings account and a flexible spending account is that with the flexible spending account, if you don't use the funds that you set aside within that plan year, you lose those funds, you forfeit them. However, in a health savings account, those funds that you set aside, if you don't use them, they continue to grow. And once they reach a certain level, there's a minimum $2,000 level, they can actually start earning you interest, depending how you invest it. So it has many benefits. Employees who are in this plan and then choose to leave the school division, they may go to one of our surrounding school divisions, they take that account with them. So they never lose the opportunity to use those funds for qualifying medical expenses. On the other side, for those that are getting ready to retire 5 or 10 years from now, they can start to build up these funds in the health savings account. And one of the big decisions that I've heard from our retirees is that how are they going to pay for their health insurance once they leave? These funds can be used in retirement for qualifying health expenses. So it's got a benefit for the young, it's got a benefit for the old, and it's got a benefit for those that have significant health issues. Because with the high deductible health plan, there are caps in place. You pay the first $2,500 out of pocket. However, you've set aside money into a health savings account to help you pay for those out-of-pocket costs. But if you have significant illness, after $2,500, your expenses are capped, so you don't pay anything more out of pocket. So it does have some added benefits that we've never been able to offer before, but the health savings account really adds a nice benefit for those who leave the school or go into retirement and use those funds to pay for their Medicare premiums. Over the past month, staff has met with the teachers at the schools. We've been to all 4 schools, and we've held information sessions on these changes. We have one more group to meet with, and that's our food service and transportation division. We'll be meeting with them first of next week. We've had some mixed feedback on some of these changes, but I will tell you that as we move into our open enrollment, Optima has agreed to come back and sit with our employees for those who are required or need to pick a new health plan. So we're doing everything we can to educate the employees and to provide them with the resources that they need to make an informed decision. So that's my report.
Board, any questions?
I do. The savings of $80,000, is that over the 12.2% increase?
Yes, we were able to get the 12.2% increase down to 7.5%.
Okay.
Any other questions?
What did you say the cap was on the the savings account, did you say there was a maximum they could put in?
There is a maximum. It's $3,050 for an individual, and it's just over $5,000 for a family.
That's per year.
Yes.
Per year?
Yes, and if you're healthy, it just continues to build up.
So there's no maximum contribution after that? I mean, $5,000 a year, so if you don't use it for several years, you've got $15,000, $20,000 sitting there?
That's correct.
It's pretty nice. Do we qualify? I like that one.
I think
It
you should
certainly
go
has
look
its
into it.
advantages.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Just want to say, I think it's an excellent job on, particularly on the dental health. If I understood what you were telling us there, the benefits increased and the costs decreased
I'm sorry, I missed
for
that.
the dental part of the switch. The benefits increased, but the costs to the teachers decreased.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, I want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes.
Rare to hear that these days, that you're getting more for less.
And since we had Delta for so long, we actually went to the benefits committee and asked them to poll the teachers in their schools to make sure that we were getting sufficient coverage, because we actually had some bids that came in that were a little lower, but there may have been 5% of the dentists in Poquoson, York County, that actually participated in those plans. And so when we looked at United, we checked every dentist in Poquoson. And we checked some dentists that we knew we lived in Poquoson, but actually worked in York County or had an office in Hampton. So we did our homework, and I think we found 99%. There was one person, I believe, that did not have their dentist on the list. So we feel like we're getting a very, very good plan, and the benefits are just remarkable.
Good job.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you for bringing this to us, but also thank you very much for your whole process of being so inclusive with the schools and the teachers and the committee, and not something that the school board office is off doing and then coming out to the employees and saying, here's your options. I keep being impressed with how open our communication is with our teachers and staff, and including them in the process. Thank you very much. I know that adds quite a bit of time and effort to the process, but we come through it with these types of benefits for our employees. Thank you very much. All right, our next item would be our operations update. Mr. Pappas.
Good evening, Chairman Diggs, School Board, Dr. Parrish. This evening, my operations report, as usual, covers those areas under my purview. In the area of maintenance, we're working currently with the grounds crew and the grounds contractors and other folks who do work in our schools to make sure that the all-important SOL testing schedule is worked around, if you will. At the middle school, we've had some unexpected underground maintenance issues that have popped up, but one might expect that with a building as old as that. We're in the process of performing our due diligence for those expenditures for projects for which we will be spending stimulus money, such as the carpet at the primary school in the gymnasium there. At the high school, we're currently working on a number of air handler units on the roof. This work will enable us to increase our energy efficiency by capitalizing on efficiencies within those machines that haven't been utilized for many years. In the area of custodial services, our summer calendar is ramping up. As one calendar wanes, the operations calendar really speeds up. We're currently developing that. We're working closely with principals, the IT staff, the summer school, our students who have summer activities in our gymnasiums, and we have to coordinate all of that to make it all happen so that when students come back, everything is pristine. In the area of food service, right now my time is being spent hammering out the contract details for the third renewal period with our food service contractor. that should be done in time for our next meeting. In the area of transportation, I'm pleased to report that we are hiring, and you'll see it in your packet, two substitute drivers, two new substitute drivers. The task of getting a layperson from layperson to CDL school bus endorsed person is an arduous task at best. And I couldn't have done it without the diligent and work and painstaking efforts of Doris Anderson and Shirley Martin, both of whom are trained trainers. We have two trained trainers. And it took both of them to fulfill the many requirements. And lastly, in transportation, one of our drivers, Wayne Cross, you can recognize him because he's always wearing a tie when he drives the bus. He participated in not one, but two school bus rodeos. One with Yorktown. Yorktown's transportation director and I have become friends, and they're very gracious to host a rodeo for buses, which let me explain. A bus rodeo doesn't entail lassos. It entails an incredible amount of work with cones and judges, of which I participated. And these bus drivers have to do some incredible feats. This entire rodeo is designed to sharpen bus drivers' skills and enhance the safety with which they comport themselves every day. So Wayne was our only participant in the York County bus rodeo, and as such, he took first place. He was issued a trophy, and he's very proud. Now, his score for that was such that and he did compete in the regional. Now, the regional people are coming from all over Virginia, and we had to send him very far to James City, Williamsburg County. And he participated in that, but the score that he got in York County, we don't know how he placed against York County, but the score he got in the regional would have made him about midway. So we are very proud of him, his performance. And Dr. Parrish and I talked, and we think that participation in this is so valuable that all of our new bus drivers will participate next year. That's the operations report.
Any questions for Mr. Pappas?
We believe York County will have our bus driver back to compete next year.
Well, they love it. In fact, if I may, Wayne had his own Poquoson cheering team. The entire tennis team who Wayne drives came out and they had Go Wayne banners. So here we are amidst the entire York County cohort, and we had our own cheering team. It was really wonderful. Thank you.
We got style.
Mr. Pappas, just one more quick question. Do you see, as we're getting close to the end of the year, and as you were saying, we're developing the summer program, is there an increase in the school dude items that get entered this time of the year?
Interestingly enough, we do the majority of entering ourselves as a maintenance crew, because the crew I have now are so good about doing preventive maintenance. We're actually seeing a huge shift into emergency maintenance to pre-planned maintenance, which is great. But at the end of the school year, and then again at the beginning of the school year, when teachers pack up or they first come in, we will see a little blip, but nothing that we're not prepared for.
Thank you.
One thing, I appreciate the proactive approach that you take to the facilities instead of the reactive approach, just wait until it breaks and then go and fix it or patch it up. It just, like you said, we're moving past the just always running around fixing things to just being able to schedule maintenance and to keep things running like they're supposed to. So you're doing what you're supposed to do, and I appreciate your work, sir.
Yeah, I have a great crew, and they make it all possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pappas. All right, next item C on the agenda is the instructional update. Dr. Revia.
Thank you, Chairman Diggs, school board members, and Dr. Parrish. It seems that tonight has been really a night about celebration of students as well as our teachers. and our bus drivers, and I think a celebration of the work that our benefits committee did in trying to provide a really robust set of health benefits. And so I'd like to kind of finish up by talking about a lot of the accolades that our students are receiving that may not necessarily make it to the level of recognition at the school board meeting, but are very important in the lives of our children, and that these accolades are really the result of the work that our teachers have done. And I think Zachary Carter was very articulate this evening in just pointing out the work of one particular teacher and how that teacher has impacted his life. So while we are in the midst of testing, there are lots of other opportunities for our children to achieve, and I just want to enumerate a few of those this evening, because I think it's important to point out that our teachers teach the lessons in the classroom, but they are looking for ways that the children can then extend outside of the classroom, be it the Odyssey of the Mind teams that we recognize this evening. And I think it's important to note that there were 2 other teams that also participated. So we had a fairly large number of children in our school division who participated, of which 2 of our teams are going to the World Championships. And then also, our students were able to participate in science fairs, and we've talked about that before, but I also want to point out some things that maybe you haven't heard about. Recently, at the high school, Mrs. Barbara Freeman had her students compete in a national financial literacy challenge, and in these trying times, it's important for us to give our children the opportunity to understand the intricacies of finance and how that might impact them not only here at school, but as they leave us and go on into their adult lives. Additionally, Mr. Wright has been sharing with me that we've had several students who've participated in the national Spanish exam. And this was on a volunteer basis, but a lot of our students competed and were recognized at the level at which they are. So for example, you don't have AP students competing against first-year students, but the national Spanish exam, the national French exam, the national Latin exam, there's several of them, and Mr. Wright is working with his staff so that we have more of these opportunities in the upcoming year. But several of our Spanish students were recognized for their accomplishments, their mastery of the language, as well as their ability to write and communicate using the language. We also, at the elementary school, have had a lot of our students really focused on reading. Many of you are familiar with Battle of the Books. And that's not just the team of Battle of the Books. That's a lot of our students who are encouraged throughout the year. In the fall, they get the list of the books, and I know that Mrs. Wood and Mrs. Barnes and Dr. McMahon and the entire staff of the elementary school are really trying to encourage students to love reading, to read those books, and whether you compete on the team or not, being exposed to the classics and to new award-winning pieces of literature that are coming out, which is what the Battle of the Books program focuses on. Again, I think that's an important part of how we reach out to children, because they can go home and read whether there's an actual assignment in the classroom or not. And if you've never been to a Battle of Books competition, if you missed it this year, I'd encourage you to go every year. It's a fierce competition, and it's a lot of fun. And if you've read any of the books, and I like to read a lot, so several of the books I've read, but I can't answer the questions, so I really commend the children because they do ask them a lot of very in-depth questions about those books. We've also have an environmental club at the elementary school who've been able to go to the Chesapeake Bay and go kayaking. Again, it's an extension of the science activities they've been doing in their classroom, but it gives them a chance to go out into really the global arena. And I think Dr. Parrish is always reminding us of what is the mission of our school division, and in there we have that caveat of raising our children up to be well educated so that they can compete and be effective in the global economy and the global community in which we live. So I think you can see there's a lot of examples of our teachers going above and beyond and speaking globally. This week we had Mrs. Holland at the middle school. She sent me an email. I'm always trolling and looking for opportunities for our teachers, and I'm sending it out to the principals, and I really appreciate the work that our principals do and trying to share those opportunities with teachers. But we had some of our French students who participated in a YouTube video development contest, and they were awarded second place by the French Embassy. And so they're going to be receiving some books, and the teacher is going to get some books for her classroom. And again, that's truly in a global arena. So I'd like to commend our teachers because they do care, not just about the lesson they're teaching today, but trying to connect it in relevant ways to give our children opportunities to be exposed to experts in fields beyond us. The student presentations tonight, those children had competed at the Technology Student Association. The French Embassy, evaluating the YouTube video that's available if you'd like to go out and see that online. Our elementary students, all of our students, K-12, have opportunities. So again, I just want to say thank you to our teachers and just share with you, because a lot of times it's small things that make a big difference in children's lives. And even though we're a small school division, we have lots of opportunities, and I think we're a pretty awesome place to be. So thanks.
Thank you. Board, any questions or comments for Dr. Reedy? No? I'll just say oftentimes in our presentations we're looking at dealing with issues, we're looking at things that we need to make improvements or do changes, and I think it's very important for us to have an opportunity like this evening to be able to highlight some of the accomplishments, the teachers, the staff, and the students. It's always important to remind them what an excellent job they're doing. So I thank you for the update tonight. All right, this will move us into our next item, the consent agenda. Bill, would you take us through that, please?
Tonight's consent agenda, we have approval of minutes of the April regular meeting, work session, and certification of closed section, April 19th enclosed, approval of financial reports enclosed, personnel action enclosed, authorization to dispose of surplus property enclosed, authorization to accept and expend revenue from the sale of obsolete equipment and reimbursement of Medicaid funds enclosed, approval of employee health and dental benefits for FY 212 enclosed. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Having the motion and the second, would you please poll the board?
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Inslee?
Aye.
Mr. Carter?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Diggs?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. All right, then we'll move into other matters for consideration. And the first item here, normally the minutes are part of the consent agenda, but this approval of the minutes for the special meeting on April 18th, we only had 4 board members present, so we'll be having several that would be abstaining because they weren't present. So I wanted to let everybody know why that is not part of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion for approval of minutes of the special meeting on April 18th?
I move that we approve the minutes of the special meeting, April 18th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Do we have any discussion? All right, would you please poll the board?
Yes, sir. Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Inslee?
Yeah, abstain.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Abstain.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain.
Chairman Diggs?
Aye.
Motion passes 4 with 3 abstentions.
Thank you. All right, the next item is consideration of the special education annual plan. Dr. Parrish.
Yes, this evening you have included in your packet a reading file that outlines the special education annual plan and report. This is the plan that you need to approve each year, and it does guarantee that we are following the provisions of IDEA. And also by us guaranteeing that, it ensures that we do receive funding from both the state and federal government to support our special education programs. Do note that this plan was presented to our Special Education Advisory Committee back in April, so they have endorsed this plan as well. So with that said, I recommend approval of the Poquoson City Public Schools Special Education Annual Plan and Report.
Board, do we have a motion?
A motion to approve consideration of the special education annual plan.
And a second?
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion or comments? I just have one. The committee that met in April, that's comprised of what group was that?
That's our advisory committee, which is comprised of parents as well as staff.
Board, any other questions, comments? All right, would you please poll the board?
Yes, sir. Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Inslee?
Aye.
Mr. Carter?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Diggs?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, next item is consideration and approval of the FY12 pay plan. Dr. Parrish.
Yes, I am happy to report to you that we are coming forward this year with a slight adjustment to our pay plan. As you know, included in your budget request that went forward to City Council was the request for an additional $136,752, which matched the total amount of money that the city had used to provide raises for their employees this year and moving into next year. And Council fully supported your budget request, so we're able to use that amount of money to provide a 1% raise to all employees in the school division. Clearly, it's not much. It's, I know, not as much as you all would like to provide, but it does at least give us something to provide to employees into next year. So what you do have attached here shows our adjusted pay plan with that 1% raise added to all pay scales. With that, I recommend approval of the Poquoson City Public Schools pay plan for fiscal year 12.
Do we have a motion for acceptance?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the FY12 pay plan.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any comments, discussions?
I'd like us to be able to give more. Obviously, I think you've said everything, but I feel like that's a step in the right direction. So I hope we can continue that in the future.
Finally.
All right, not hearing any more discussion, if you'd please poll the board.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Inslee?
Aye.
Mr. Carter?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Diggs?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, last item for matters for consideration is consideration of approval of the school calendar.
Yes, as you know, we do work with the Regional Calendar Committee because we do share a number of regional facilities, with New Horizons being the largest, so that we try and have the big blocks of time off the same across the region, such as winter break and spring break. So that has remained consistent. We were able to do that again, which has been very helpful. We also, as you know, always have to start the day after Labor Day. So we're always boxed in our calendar planning based on the legislative requirement that we can't start school until after that. I will tell you that in the General Assembly this year, there's a little more movement to maybe consider allowing school divisions to pick their own start date, but it didn't make it all the way through, but it was probably the furthest that it's gotten. My understanding is the General Assembly has requested a study to be done to see what it might mean if schools have an option to extend their calendars into different portions of the year. So we'll be watching that closely next year. But with that said, your calendar is very similar to what you've seen in the past. I do want to highlight that we have included 182 student days, so that we have 2 days built in for inclement weather. We this year had 2 days built in for inclement weather, and we used them both. So we were fortunate that we had those. We do have a division level calendar committee that meets as well, and that includes people representatives from all of our buildings. So once the regional calendar has been established, then we have our own calendar committee, and that was one thing that they did discuss and did appreciate, that we were able to build in 2 more inclement weather days. Between winter weather and occasional high water here, it's helpful for us to have those days. So with that said, I recommend approval of the PCPS calendar for 2011-2012.
Thank you. Do we have...
Diggs, I have a question. Is now the time to ask the question before?
We need to make the motion first. So do we have a motion for approval of the calendar?
A motion, we approve the calendar for the next upcoming school year.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, do we have any comments, discussions, or questions?
I just had a question.
Yes.
I didn't see the winter break, so I was just curious as to the February. I thought there was usually a winter break. Is that something they decided to do away with?
No, we still have that. It's on February 17th and then the 20th. So the 20th is President's Day, and Friday the 17th is the winter. It's on the
I see it.
second page behind the reading file.
Yeah, I guess I was just looking for
So we did
wording,
we did
verbiage.
maintain that. There was discussion of that in the committee. I will tell you that each year that is discussed. There are some, both within the school division and the community, that weigh whether or not to continue that. But the committee did decide to bring that forward as a recommendation.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have a feel for, I saw that we're once again giving the teachers the opportunity to flex the day prior to Labor Day weekend for an earlier day. Do you have a feeling for how many teachers took advantage of that last year?
I think many teachers do take advantage of it. Our newer teachers, sometimes are not able to take it. What we'll often see too is some teachers may come in for a couple hours and then take the rest of the day, but we do see quite a few that come in. I will tell you too, our teachers are so dedicated. Some of them will come in and put the day in July or early August, in hopes of still flexing that day and still come in and put a little time in just to wrap things up. But we do have a number of teachers that are out of the building that Friday, and we encourage them to do so.
I think that's a good flexibility to give them for that start of the year. All right, board, any other questions, comments?
I would like to comment on should both inclement weather days be utilized. The last teacher work day will be either Saturday or Monday. And just giving the teachers the choice there is nice. Okay, and I just think that's a nice touch. Give them that choice.
Yeah, we worked on that with the committee too, because we know some teachers will just like to just put the day in Saturday and be done, and some would rather have the weekend. And with graduation falling on that Saturday too, some may be parents who will need to come in Monday. So.
All right, any other comments? All right, if you please pull the board.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Inslee?
Aye.
Mr. Carter?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Chairman Diggs?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment this evening?
No, sir.
All right, then we'll move into communications. Dr. Parrish, why don't you start us off?
Yes, I can't not start us off with budget, but I just wanted to actually take the opportunity to thank everybody. We did complete our budget process for fiscal year 12 when council approved their city budget last week. So I really want to thank everybody in the community and throughout the school division who provided input through the budget process and support. I'd also like to thank council members who did fully support the school board's request, which did enable us to provide the small raise that we'll be able to provide next year. I have to say, though, we've already started talking about fiscal year 13 because we know it's going to probably be the most challenging one we've faced in the last 3 years, but it's good to have fiscal year 12 done. And a little bit of good news that we're hearing about the economy is at least a little bright news out there. I do want to mention, some of you may have noticed some work in front of the high school. The Legacy Walk, which has been a fundraising effort by the Poquoson Education Foundation, the work on that has started. Many people in the community have purchased bricks that will be laid down in front of the high school, so we're hoping to have the ribbon cutting on that in coming weeks, and PEF will continue to sell bricks, but all of the funds that do come from that will be put right back into the schools, but it's starting to be very exciting out front to see the work being done. I do want to wish the best of luck to all of our students because SOL tests are all about to begin for us. We've been working hard all year. Our teachers have been working diligently, and our students have too, to meet with success. As we've mentioned in past presentations, the federal accreditation bar is rising, and we do have some concerns about that. But we do know that our staff and students have been working hard to try and face those challenges. And believe it or not, this is our last meeting before graduation because our June meeting's after graduation. So I just wanted to say how much I'm looking forward to seeing the class of 2011 walk across the stage on June 18th. So, and I know the seniors out there can probably tell me exactly how many days that will be.
Probably hours. Also.
Probably hours, yes.
Thank you.
This past month, the primary school had the celebration of Poquoson Day, where each class boarded a bus and took a tour of the city. The tour highlighted the first school, the seafood industry of Poquoson, and the Poquoson Museum. The classes gathered together at the end of the day, and the chairman of the school board and the mayor spoke to the children. Kindergarten and the parents watched the marriage of the letters Q and U. All of the students at the primary school enjoyed the assembly highlighting the artist Picasso and how his artwork influenced the world. The second grade music program will be next Monday and Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Next Thursday morning is the first grade's economic fair, where each class will have produced a product to sell. The Great Computer Challenge was held on May 14th at ODU, and the elementary school's teams all placed. The desktop publishing team won first place. The graphic arts team won second place. The internet scavenger hunt team placed third, and the desktop presentation received an honorable mention. At the middle school, the 6th grade math fair will be held tomorrow, May 18th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the middle school's cafeteria. The spring band concert for the middle school is this Thursday, May 19th at 7 p.m. SOL testing begins May 24th at the middle school. The yearbook signing dance is going to be held on May 27th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Poquoson Middle School Spring Choral Concert is Thursday, June 9th at 7 p.m. The 8th grade celebration will be Friday, June 10th, starting at 6:30 p.m. And the 7th grade students will visit the Virginia Zoo on June 13th. Poquoson High School prom is this Saturday, May 21st at the Hampton Convention Center from 8 to 11 p.m. After prom will be held at PHS from midnight to 5:30 a.m. and there is a $5 fee for after prom. The PHS PTA is having a fundraiser at Chick-fil-A tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. SOL testing at the high school will be May 20th, 24th, 25th, and the 26th. Final exams are June 10th through the 16th. The spring chorus concert for the high school is May 31st at 7 p.m. at Grafton. The spring band concert is June 13th at Tabb High School at 6:30 p.m. The PHS Awards Night is June 1st at 7 p.m. and graduation is at 11 a.m. on June 18th. And I just wanted to say, since this is my last meeting, that I've really enjoyed my experience on the board, and thank you for giving me this wonderful experience.
Thank you. Beth Ann.
I just want to thank the teachers of the year for their dedication, and even those that weren't standing up here that we know put in the time that has been discussed by Dr. Parrish just a minute ago over the summer and put their heart and soul into this job, because it is a hard job, and we're very lucky to have the teachers that we have here. I want to thank the school board office for the time and many long hours they've put in to get this budget passed and to give this small raise to our teachers. But it's a start. And Mr. Bowen, for all you've done to help out with the health insurance, and I'm sure they're gonna feel that in their pocket, I hope, and it seems that they will. I want to wish the OM teams good luck at World, and the students hope they do well on exams. And I enjoyed Zach Carter. I thought he did a great job, and I thought that just showed such respect to stand up at the podium and share what he shared tonight. We decided it was just like Mr. Holland's opus, that was her opus, in case you missed that. And I don't know what I'm going to do without this one, because it's just been great sitting with her every month. She's just been quite a gift to this board. So I wish you well, and we'll be looking for a new student rep, and we'll start our interviews pretty soon. Thank you.
I really don't have anything else other than to ditto exactly what's just been said. We owe a lot to our teachers. We owe a lot to the staff of the Poquoson schools. They are working with our future leaders, and I wish, like most of us, that the raise could have been more, but at least it's something, and I hope the teachers understand that it would be more if it could be, but it can't for right now, so we just have to deal with what we can get when we can get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carter.
The student rep interviews will actually be conducted on next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. So we have those lined up. We have 5 applicants. Reading through them, it's going to be a tough decision, but that's a good position to be in. I attended the Special Education Advisory Committee this past meeting that Ms. Feltman had, and she walked us through the annual plan and the budgeting from the federal funding grants. And we also heard a presentation by Matt Luther from the Department of Rehabilitative Services, and that was very good. And I also learned something, and I thought please correct me, Ms. Veltman, if I'm wrong, but the founder of Walgreens has an autistic son, and Walgreens, I found out, goes out of their way to hire individuals with disabilities. So I thought that was a nice touch there. Good luck on SOL test, and congratulations to the graduates and to the Teachers of the Year. And I would like to, I picked up on something that Ms. Curtis said. She said giving, that in her philosophy of education, she said it was, you had to find the fine line between giving students choices but setting boundaries. And I think that's huge. The kids need those boundaries. They need to have the freedom to make those choices, and I'm sure, being the teacher that Ms. Curtis is, acknowledges and praises those good choices that they make. She's going to reprimand the bad choices. She's going to set those boundaries, and if that is consistent throughout, eventually the kids will realize to consistently make good choices, and they'll set their own boundaries based on what we've established for them. So I think that's huge. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last Saturday, I was able to attend the Thomas Nelson Community College graduation, and a citizen from Poquoson, Everett Jordan, was a guest speaker for commencement. He reminded the students basically that lifelong learning skills are very important, what employers need, and I feel like I'm going to second what Dr. Revia had to say tonight about our students becoming well-informed citizens. It's those lifelong learning skills that are so important. And I think we do two things here in Poquoson City Schools. We teach them how to learn, but we teach them to love to learn. And that's very important for our future citizens. Second item I'd like to say is I really appreciate how welcoming City Council was with our joint meeting a few weeks ago. Felt right at home with them and enjoyed the meeting.
Chairman Diggs, can we back up?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I need one more thing.
Absolutely.
Melly, you've been awesome. I've enjoyed giving you my candy for the last 10 months. And we're really going to miss you. You've done a great job, and it's nice to hear your voice. And I hope we find somebody to fill your shoes.
Thank you.
Some big shoes, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
I'd like to say congratulations to all the Teachers of the Year. And thank you to the City Council for supporting the teachers so that we can give them a bit of a raise. And thank you, Melly. You've done a really good job, and we'll miss you next year.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Melly and say whoever replaces her is going to have their hands full. You've done a nice job. You've been a pleasure to have with us all year.
Thank you.
The inspirational reading, I think, from Zach Carter was really inspirational in that taking a teacher, talking about a teacher, and all the positives that he produced on that person. And there's so many more of them out there. But I think it's wonderful that a student takes the time to draft something like that and present it to the board. I think the Odyssey of the Mind, I'd like to congratulate them, the Teachers of the Year. Again, it's another good crop, and these are the kind of meetings you really enjoy because the kids are getting awards, the teachers are getting awards, and everything is positive. And that's all I have.
Okay. Let me start off with Holly. You said you wanted to thank us for the opportunity. I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to get to know you and have you represent the students for us here. I really appreciate the work you've done for us, and definitely you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Follow up also, I'm glad that I'm not on the committee for the Teacher of the Year. I cannot imagine looking at our teacher and having to make those decisions. I think that we have so many that are qualified for that position, but congratulations to our 4 teachers for the recognition of their fellow teachers, and for the Divisional Teacher of the Year, congratulations, the committee from all the schools and their selection. Also would like to, again, I can't go another meeting without continuing to thank the PEF and what they do for our schools. I'm very excited to see the walkway nearing, as we had the opportunity to be there for the pictures for Breaking in the Ground, and as they've gotten started, it's exciting again to see a renovation in our schools of something like that, where it's all going back into the students, and it's something that everybody who participates can be very proud and long-lasting show of their support for the schools. I know I'm echoing a lot of what's been said, but again, to the City Council, thank you for the support and working closely with us through the budget cycle. I know they've had a very difficult time with the city budget and with the lowering of the assessments, those areas that they can't control, but the choices they made and the decision to support the schools, to keep the schools funded as they did, that was very appreciated. And with that, I have nothing else to say. The last item on the agenda is material for board review. We all received a copy of the thank you notes from the students who traveled to the Czech Republic, so make sure you take a look at those. And we'll be closing this meeting and moving into a work session where we'll be discussing semester exams, FERPA, summer school board meeting schedule, the student representative to the board, and then into a closed meeting for personnel matters. And with that, we'll close the meeting.